With WWE's backup plan for The Rock at WrestleMania revealed and a wrestling veteran taking a shot at Vince McMahon's mandated training, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 16th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. While Malakai Black referred to the last 2 years of his WWE career as a slow death, regarding his creative troubles, he feels he has more freedom in AEW, saying this on his wife Zelina Vega's stream. "It feels really good that I'm in a place now where my creative mind can be utilized versus stopped and controlled and being presented in things that I know are not going to work. Because, no offense, I knew a lot of stuff wasn't going to work. I said that to them as well back in the day. Lo and behold, it didn't work. With him getting into a brawl with Cody Rhodes this week, it'll be interesting to see how this feud plays out, given that Cody is reported to be taking time off to film next month." When speaking to Wrestling Inside the Ropes about his relationship with Vince McMahon, former WWE Champion Drew McIntyre stated this was integral to his success, advising other stars to simply talk to McMahon. "It's good. If I have a question or concern, I go to him right away, and I advise all the other stars to do exactly the same. When I was younger, I was so intimidated by him because he's such a large presence and it's terrifying. The idea of knocking on the door and talking to him. You get a little older, a little wiser, get more of a business head on your shoulders, and you realize that he runs the company and you have to build a relationship. You need that back and forth. It's not just going to help me, it's going to help the company overall. That's where we're at right now. When I returned, it was very much as a man and not a boy. Like in my first run, it was a business head on my shoulders and I knew I had to grow that relationship to further my career and at the same time help WWE. I always advise the other superstars to do exactly the same." After earning his spot on Raw, we'll see McIntyre compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match on pay-per-view Sunday. With Nikki Cross looking to revitalize her run on Raw as a superhero, she spoke to Instinct Culture about her current character. "People evolve and I think wrestling characters should too. For me, like I said, the heart of this character is for a young audience to feel inspired and be good and be kind to each other as a superpower. It may not be super strength, it may not be the coolest superpower like super strength or super speed or X-ray supervision or laser eyes, but I think there is something very important in being good to one another and being positive as a superpower, and that's the message. That's the heart of what we're trying to do." Cross will be a part of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match on July 18th as she looks to be an underdog heading in. Before his match against Carlito and Andrade on July 31st, Alberto Del Rio took to Twitter to claim he wouldn't let these two beat him, saying, "I beat John Cena a boatload of times, and he was the face of WWE. What makes you think that I will allow Andrade or Carlito to beat me on July 31st at Pain Arena?" This garnered a response from Andrade as he wrote, "Congrats on that achievement, and who remembers it? Alberto, I was so busy that I didn't have time to answer. You had to start a company to be able to work while I have a contract and can work all over the world. You even hired me to humiliate you." When it comes to a dream match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, it appears that it is unlikely to take place if Brock returns, as he will more than likely face Roman Reigns. With it said in the Wrestling Observer, the Lesnar match was talked about a lot but constantly denied. The feeling was that Lesnar isn't coming back for a number of shows right now, so he'd have to lose, and those in the Reigns camp see Reigns versus Lesnar with the Heyman history as a big program, not to be weakened by Lesnar doing a job or doing a non-finish with Lashley right now. Like I've said before, in 1985, that would be how I'd see it, but today I don't see a Lesnar loss to Lashley this year, earning a 2023 program with Reigns versus Lesnar. Right now it appears Lesnar won't be coming back anytime soon, as Ringside News wrote. Lesnar's name is not listed on an internal list of possible draft choices. When Creative asked about Lesnar, we were told that it was made clear there are no plans with Brock. We're not even in discussions. Speaking of matches for Roman Reigns, many are expecting a showdown with his cousin The Rock at WrestleMania. Still, there is a chance that an alternative match will be made involving the Usos. As Meltzer noted, one idea that has been talked about as the goal is Reigns and Rock for Dallas for the 2022 Mania is that if concessions have to be made regarding Rock in movies and injury fears, that they do Reigns and an Uso versus Rock and an Uso, so Rock can be protected from doing too much and it keeps it all in the family with the idea and Rock and Reigns as who is really the tribal chief. Obviously, the singles match is the preferred match, but any involvement of Rock is preferred over him not doing the show. With WWE returning to a live touring schedule, Vince McMahon mandated training for most WWE stars. This resulted in Bayley being injured, while others are not pleased. It was noted that one veteran wrestler that remained anonymous made this observation about the training in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. "I wrestled full-time for 15 years. If you were in shape enough to do TV and pay-per-view matches, you need zero conditioning or preparation to go back on the road and do live events. My entire regular career, I never did a single in-ring drill for conditioning. I did cardio at the gym, sure, but never additional ring time. The only time I did in-ring drills for conditioning was when I took post-retirement bookings and had to have a big match for the first time in a year or so, but that's because I hadn't had a match in a year and was going to have to do 30 minutes at a top level. When I went from working one match a week locally to 7 nights a week, I did zero drills to prepare. The only thing harder about 7 nights a week to once a week is the wear and tear on your body, so doing more wear and tear with drills to prepare makes it worse, not better." As WWE gets back on the road, they will be doing so in style. Reddit user Prospect619 put out a picture of the new WWE set for SmackDown. As WrestleVotes wrote, being told the new entrance stage is set up in Houston. It looks like a giant Tron, but will be very impressive for the fans watching at home. Also hearing the same set, possibly with a minor difference, will be used for both Raw and SmackDown. With WWE releasing a ton of stars recently to help out their bottom line, they're also going to need more wrestlers for a return to live touring. As NXT talent such as Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, and Toni Storm have been brought up to the main roster from NXT, the Wrestling Observer noted that Vince McMahon blamed poor ticket sales on not having any fresh faces. One person close to the situation noted exactly that. When the advances came in, Vince assessed it by saying there was nobody new, fresh, or exciting on the roster, and that's when he went to NXT with the idea of freshening up the roster with new faces who would be pushed hard right out of the box or until he gives up on some of them quickly. When an NXT superstar makes their way to the main roster, it can really be hit or miss, as we hope those that make their Raw or SmackDown debuts are featured prominently going forward. With Goldberg reportedly returning to WWE to face Lashley at SummerSlam, the WCW star was trending on Twitter as fans are less than pleased with this news. One user wrote, "WWE bringing out Goldberg for him to challenge for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 50. Another said, "Me every time Goldberg comes back with a video of Lashley saying this BS needs to stop now." One fan wrote, "AEW continuously makes new stars by putting a title on Ricky Starks, giving Sammy Guevara a huge win in his home state, main event with Ethan Page and Darby Allin in a classic coffin match. WWE brings back Goldberg as soon as the fans return, with zero plans to push new stars." Another wrote, "All these rumors about Brock versus Lashley and we're really getting a Goldberg match instead." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.